Well, this is it. This is my final album review of 2025. Wanted to get maybe two more out, but time's just not going to allow me to do it. But at least I'm going out with a rather notable one, because it's been a good 7 years since Spock's Beard released Noise Floor. So I don't know. I guess you could say they've been letting the anticipation build or something like that. Who knows? But this is going to be a little wild, a little unpredictable. I'm going with virtually no notes, so grab a seat, grab a drink. I'm going to blow through this one, like I said, with almost no notes, so we're going to see what happens here. But meanwhile, I will be telling you just how well we've all been rewarded for our patience right after this. Hey Prognoggins, Dave here, and this is Bleeding Edge with the final album review of 2025, wrapping it up with a rather big one, Spock's Beard, the Archaeoptimist. I've often joked about, it's prog if you're picking up new vocabulary words. I don't know if that's the same thing as them inventing vocabulary words, but I'll take it, and I kind of enjoy it. The dinosaur-loving child in me enjoys anything that reminds me of Archaeopteryx, the feathered lizard bird transitional dinosaur thing way back in the day. Of course, obviously back in the day. It's a good way of putting it when you talk about prehistoric times, right? Anyway, I kind of enjoy that. I like them making up the word. Definitely were some other nice unusual vocabulary words scattered throughout the album, but I digress. So this is a band that's been through a lot of changes over the years. I guess that's one way of putting it. But there are three, at least, people involved now who have been with the band pretty much from the beginning. Alan Morse, guitars and vocals. Dave Miros on bass and bass pedals and keyboards and vocals. Ryo Okumoto on guitars, on keyboards and vocals. Can't even read my own notes. Ted Leonard is back to contribute lead vocals and guitar and keyboards. He, of course, has been with the band for, I think, like 10, 15 years now. New drummer, Nick Potters, of course, drums, percussion. He provides some vocals as well. It seems to be a requirement for the band. So not a massive change, pretty much the same band that's been around. I think what's the biggest change really is the fact that in recent years, a lot of the songwriting duties have been handled by John Bugold. I think that's how you pronounce the last name, or Bujold. Lord knows. And Stan Alsmus. And they're not involved this time around. John certainly has obviously been a big hand in writing a lot of the stuff for Pattern-Seeking Animals. He did not return for this. Interesting to note that this album seems to be very much the brainchild of Ryo Okumoto, along with writing partner Michael Whiteman, a musician with whom I'm not familiar with, and I don't know that I can connect him to anything in particular big, but the two of them know each other and clearly have a very productive writing partnership going on. And just to round out the ownership of the thing, so to speak, at least the owner of the genesis of the ideas, Okumoto also produced this album. So he really took the reins on this one, and that's probably the biggest change between this and Noise Floor. It's very, very cool in that sense that we've got this whole new well of ideas contributing this time around. Not that Okumoto didn't have a lot of involvement in songwriting before, but he didn't take the lead like he did this time around. And definitely some interesting results, we got to say. Now, this is not a concept album at all, really. It's in some way, I guess I compare it to Rush's classic 2112 in the sense that it takes its name from a 20-plus minute epic conceptual song that dominates the runtime of the album. So in that sense, they're pretty similar. That's about where the similarities end, although not entirely. I both talk about far future times in the title track. So another thing that I just thought of. 61 minutes for this album. Of course, that 20-minute title track takes up a full third of it, but it's only 6 songs total. So, and interestingly enough, they're not all massively long. I think so much of that's one song taking up so much of the time. Meanwhile, before I do the breakdown, I want to take a moment and remind you, if you could, please like, subscribe, help Bleeding Edge grow. That'd be great to have you along for the ride for future things. Click that bell if you want to make sure you're notified whenever I upload something. And a quick review for those who don't know my methodology, and maybe a reminder for those who have already heard it, I break an album down into 4 categories: intellectual, innovative, technical, and emotional. Grade them all on a score of 1 to 5, average that out, and based on what that raw average score does compared to my personal experience of the album, I may add or subtract a personal enjoyment modifier, the PEM. Took me till the end of the year to come up with an acronym for it. That's how it goes. Anyway, so this is, as one would guess, being Spock's Beard, they've got a bit of a reputation. They are one of these stalwarts, if not one of the pillars of modern prog, certainly in the first 10 to 15 years of the 2000s. So they have a standard. They have a reputation. And I think they pretty much hit that pretty well here. I didn't get to absorb all the lyrics to the level that I would have liked to, but there's definitely some cool stuff here. There's themes talking about ambition and managing time and dealing with notoriety, I think. At least that's how I interpret Invisible. The idea of, do you want to blend in? Do you want to be nothing? Or do you want to do something and help stand out and make some noise and make yourself known? At least that's the way I understood it. It's pretty cool. And of course, what's not to like about this epic story talking about a post-apocalyptic world in which a father's raising his daughter. The daughter grows into this great leader and all this stuff, you can't knock that stuff. Is it highly, highly philosophical? I don't know if it's top flight. It's darn close, though. It's really some impressive work going on here, and I really appreciate what they've got going on there. It's always possible that I am, because of the limitations of getting a hold of the lyrics and getting them absorbed into my brain, I might be slighting them a little bit, but I'm going to score this a 4.25. I think it's a really solid effort on their part, and it lives up to that reputation that is Spock's Beard. Now, looking at the innovative side of things, this is not exactly what I would call a massively innovative album, in the sense that it is Spock's Beard doing very much what Spock's Beard does well. What I like about it is, I think, some of the little changes, the little flares, the little touches here and there that they've added in that weren't always there in their previous works. One, I don't know, it could be me. Maybe it's that time since the last one. It's been a while since I listened through the last Spock's Beard album. I feel like they're a bit more propulsive this time. The rock is a little harder. It's a little more charging forward than what they have typically done. It's just everything feels a little bit amped up, and I dig that. I like that. There's lots of exuberance in this one that really, for me, I think grabs the listener from the get-go. And exuberance is a word you're going to hear me use a lot in this review. Meanwhile, they got other nice touches here and there, some things that they add in, elements that they don't necessarily include on a regular basis. A whole section with these a cappella harmonies. They got these sinister power chords at one part in the title track that are really cool. It's not what I would call a massive departure. For me, the biggest departure really is how the album was created, when you've got this Michael Whiteman, who's never been involved before, and Okamoto really taking the reins on this project and owning it in the sense of writing so much of it and producing. That's what's kind of different, and I like that they, I don't know, it's like they are taking a risk a little bit when you're adding new creative contributors to the whole thing. That I like, so I gave it a 3.5. Technical, meanwhile, this is easy. This doesn't really take me saying a lot. It's Spock's Beard, and these guys came to play hard. There's no holding back on this. No restrained solos much. They are balls to the wall on this one. They just come out the gates charging straight ahead, almost like they have been holding this in for 7 years. Like they just have had like this long period of time to wait and hold back, and now that's finally they're let loose. And they're charging down the track for the finish line. It's really stands out for me in that sense. And the instrumentation, the playing, absolutely monstrous. Guitar solos, keyboard solos, the drums are all over the place, not in a chaotic way, but in a powerful, interesting, challenging way. It's just so much going on here. And when they need to pull it back in and just hit a groove, they hit a groove. When they need to maybe just simplify things a little bit with a straight ahead stretch of power chords, they do that impressively. But man, these guys are playing their hearts out on this album. And honestly, after spending time with some more restrained affairs, more orchestrated affairs like Gazpacho and Jonas Lindberg, this grabbed me hard, strapped me into the passenger seat of a Lamborghini, and slammed the gas pedal to the floor. Impressive all around. Score 5. Then you have to really think about it, and I probably said more than I needed to say it's Spock's Spirit. They get a 5. It's pretty much an automatic. And then finally, emotional, the final category. Again, exuberance is the word that kept coming to my mind for this one. The energy is absolutely contagious. It is inspiring. I'm not sure what inspired Okamoto and Whiteman in creating it, but I think in what they put together, they inspired the band, and the band came and brought out their own super enthusiastic performance. He just got some really great work from these guys, out of these guys for this album. Just such a cool thing, and it's not tear to the eye emotional, but just all that energy, that charging forward. To me was just really great. It kind of hit the spot a little bit in many ways. Not massive, as me, as always. I am kind of stingy on the emotional part of things. It's hard to move my meter a lot. And I don't know that it's necessarily that kind of album, hard on the sleeve kind of thing. It is Spock's Beard, in the range they normally are in. I'm going to score this part a 3.5. So let's see. We put it all together. The intellectual, 4.25. Innovative, 3.5. Technical, 5. Emotional, 3.5. You add that all together. You divide by 4. You get a raw score of 4.06. That's one of the highest, if very close to the highest raw score I've given this year. Meanwhile, a few other stray thoughts on this. I don't honestly recall the last time I had so much fun with a Spock's Beard album. This one is just full of this energy that is, again, very contagious, very engaging. It really kind of grabs you, pulls you in, says you must listen to me. And I really enjoy what they brought to the table this time around. Okamoto and Whiteman, man, they nailed it with the compositions and the writing and all that. And hey, as a producer, Rio, you got your guys to play their hearts out. It was really great stuff. I wish I had more time to absorb it all before my own self-imposed deadline for this final review of the year. But hey, going to be traveling. Can't do this stuff while I'm traveling. So it is what it is. But I know I'm going to be spending more time with this album later on, and I can already tell you it's landed on my list of top prog albums for the year. It's guaranteed it's going to have a spot in there. The only question is exactly where in the rankings it's going to fit. So that's how much I enjoy this album. Really impressive also to me is how it can be such a different writing team this time. And yet overall, the personality and the style of Spock's Beard is still very much intact. I know it's all the same players for the most part, so that lends itself to it. I don't know how much of this, as far as the writing and the final product, maybe was these guys contributing and changing parts and adding their own sensibilities to their individual instruments and improvising. So a lot of that would likely contribute to this still feeling like you haven't been presented with an entirely new band. But the music's really solid. The playing's really solid. It's still very clearly Spock's Beard. I was a little bit worried going in, again, that I might have a little trouble separating them from pattern-seeking animals with Ted on vocals, but not a problem at all, because it's entirely different writers making entirely different music. So definitely not the same. There's a little bit of the fact that there's still that same voice, but it's all good for me. Really didn't have a problem with that. Meanwhile, standout songs. Lead-off track, Invisible. Just a great lead-off track. It's a great attention grabber. It's a way to lead off a set. That probably should be their lead-off song when they're performing live on this tour, if you ask me. Nobody did. Never stopped me from offering an opinion anyway. Lyrics are catchy. The chorus is catchy and instantly memorable. Impressive musicianship on display. They just kind of, all that stuff that is Spock's Beard boiled down into a nice, reasonably concise song. Not as concise as your average pop song, more like 2 average pop songs, but that's good for me. And then finally, the title track, the Archaeoptimist. Absolutely. I like my title tracks. I like my epic tracks like this. 20 plus minutes long. They get a lot of stuff in it. They got energetic rock riffs like throughout the album. They've got these funky grooves at times reminiscent of Steely Dan. They got these sinister power chords worthy of almost any metal band out there, or at least some of the more straightforward ones. Just so much stuff going on. And when you add in that it's a cool story about a girl raised by her dad in a post-apocalyptic world destined for greatness, what's not to like, really? So those are my standouts. In the end, I think that score is exactly where it needs to be. They absolutely earned that spot. 4.06 will stand. I have no addition or subtraction for it. It's a really, really good album. It's one of the best albums this year, obviously, if I'm going to put it on my final end-of-year list. A lot of cool stuff. If you are a Spock's Beard fan, I got to think you really enjoy this. I've kept myself away from other reviews as much as possible so I can give my untainted, uninfluenced opinion. But it's hard not to catch a social media post here and there or a headline here and there. The couple that I saw does seem like the album is being met with a lot of enthusiasm, about the same level as mine. Spock's Beard fans, are you happy with it? Are you thinking this is what you were hoping to get after 7 years? Or were you looking for something different? Do you think the band drifted too far away from their original sound? If you're one of the old-timers, I can't imagine you think that, but maybe you do. Drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Tell me what you think of this. And while you're busy doing that, if you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and do that at the moment as well. Meanwhile, I'm going to be off traveling for a little bit, but when we get back into December, it is end of year list time. I'm going to maybe catch up a few little things I didn't get done. And what just happened? Fucking meta. Meanwhile, we're going to be getting into December. It's end of year lists. Time to put all those together. Time to maybe pull together a few little things I missed, miscellaneous stuff here and there. Song of the year, album of the year, epic of the year probably. And then a little bit of time to reflect on what was 2025. That'll be coming up in December when I'm back from my travels. Until then, I leave you with the usual reminder to never fear to deviate from the norm. And as always, keep it proggy.